we go. Hello, here we are again for another inspirational talk. I'm here with Allegra Jenkins, and it's a kind of exception that I post the inspirational talk on Tuesday and not on Friday this week. And that's because I think Allegra has something to offer you, which could be interesting for some of you, and I don't want you to miss out. But before we get to that, I would like to say, Allegra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, uh, my journey has been a magical journey. It's had its share of grief, it's had its share of laughter, but it's been my journey. And I think what's taken me a long time to actually recognize this is my journey, because those of us who are mothers and wives, we tend to make our journey everyone else's journey because we have to get it right for everybody else. And it was the sudden death of my husband 14 years ago that completely shook my world. I mean, I had been with Chris for 35 years. I'd met him when I was 18. We had three children with a 6 year gap. So I had a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a new baby at one time. And suddenly, the centre of my world disappeared. It was a brain hemorrhage, a very sudden death. So I lost this absolutely extraordinary man. And at the same time, I'd had this amazing career. And one of the things that had been quite unusual about my career was that I had not chosen to go along the route. I had really followed my inspiration. I had chosen to do things which, looking back, were quite extraordinary. But one of the main factor of it all was that I had my husband and my children, and they were my priority. And so I'm suddenly left with my world shaken to the very core. And I described it just now as an ant in a warehouse. So I'm this little tiny ant in this huge warehouse, just empty space, and I didn't know how I'd fill it with anything. And going into that place of profound grief, I very gently, and I think it is important to do these things gently, I very gently started to have a conversation with myself. And up to that time, I hadn't really had much of a conversation with myself because I was either looking after the kids or at work or taking the dog for a walk or planning something else or, doing all those things. And then suddenly I had time. And in that time, I had to do a lot of things. I had to grieve. I had to learn to like myself, which, is probably the hardest thing in the world. And I had to find a way of becoming happy again,
Yeah,
because when you have a loss like that, you think like, well, I can never be happy again. Like, how does it work, this happiness thing? And so I followed my intuition, and I also started dancing. I became a 5 rhythm dancer, and I
okay.
love to dance. In Italy, you have the bio dancing. It's very similar.
Yeah.
And so I suddenly started dancing, and I couldn't get enough of dancing. I didn't
I've
want to
never
talk to
done that
anybody.
before.
I didn't want to go for a drink afterwards or anything. I wanted to dance, and I wanted to grieve. And dancing was a way that I connected with myself. And I hadn't danced for years. And 5 rhythm, bio dancing, it's not like salsa. It's not something you do with a pair or you. It's you dance with yourself.
How did
So
you how did you
I
find out about this dancing? Because it's kind of, if you're not in the whole spiritual energy directions, it's not something, yeah, it comes on your path. You can say it like that.
You can be open to it. I mean, I had lived in a city where people were dancing all the time and I'd never danced. And
Okay.
then, of course, this woman who I knew said, "There's this crazy dancing on a Friday night. Why don't you come?" And at that time, I was like, having to put a full lot of makeup on just to walk out the door. I was at that stage of like, whoa, heaviness. And I went with my friend. She never went back. And I was completely and utterly hooked, right? And it was there all the time, but I didn't know about it. And I have now danced in Australia, America, Spain, all over France. I mean, there are five rhythm dancing and that kind of dancing all over the world. So, and the other thing is, when you are a widow and your family life, and we were very much a family, right? All your friends are part of that family world, and so suddenly there's this woman who isn't doing what she's always done, and we had this table which you could get 17 round, and we would every Sunday we were just the kind of couple that had lots of people in the house, and I wasn't doing that, and suddenly I went from that woman to this woman who was dancing and seeking and trying to find other things to do as much as anything. And then I discovered this network of women that I didn't know existed, mainly single women, all of them younger than me, or usually younger than me. And I became part of this group of, I could come in and go and move within it. And that
Sorry to
really,
interrupt you. That was a physical group or online?
no, no, well, we could dance physically. So yeah, I would dance. I would go weekend dancing. I'd dance on a Saturday. And I became part of the Liverpool dancing group. And they would say, we're all going to the beach this night. And so I would go to the beach and dance all night, It's like,
And let me ask you, how was that for your children? Because
yeah,
hearing your story, it seems like you became a kind of different woman with completely
yeah,
different friends,
yeah.
different way of life.
Yeah, well, the different friends and the different way of life, I kept. I've still got some very good friends, but when you're a widow, you lose friends actually because you don't fit into the social world that you used to fit in, and you become a bit of a threat, I have to say as well. So you get dropped, which when it happens is incredibly, you know, it seems unfair, but with hindsight, you go, well, they weren't real friends, otherwise they wouldn't have. So I kept real, real deep, good friendships from before that time. But then there was quite a lot of people. And anyone who's had a close death knows that people can't cope with you. They'll cross the road to avoid you,
Yeah, yeah,
that,
that's true. Yeah,
that,
absolutely. And it is
yeah,
also very often a turning point in your life.
exactly.
When we were talking before we started this recording, you told something about your amazing journey, and I think it can be so inspirational because you're not the only widow in our group, and I think the same is for people who get divorced, or even if you just become an empty nester and don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah,
It's so nice to hear that life isn't ended in what kind of
no,
situation you are, but there is a possibility if you search, if you open up for it, maybe not even
yeah,
search, but if you be able to open up yourself. So, um, what was next for you apart from
okay.
dancing? Because you told
Okay.
me a lot of
Well,
other things.
I just want to say one thing in answer to
Yeah,
that because
sure.
I've reflected on this a lot. In some ways, I think it's easier for the widow than the divorced woman because, particularly if the divorce is acrimonious and there's another woman involved and you get kicked in the teeth, you live with a different set
Yeah,
of
sure.
regrets, right? And I think that I feel very blessed that I had 35 years of this amazing man in my life. The day before he died, I said, the best bit of my life is waking up in bed next to you. He knew I loved him. I didn't feel regret, right? Whereas I have now danced and had very deep, meaningful conversations with women who feel they were kicked in the teeth, don't know how to move on. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. I'm always thinking you can put photos everywhere, talk about them, and everybody will understand you. If
yeah,
you get
yeah,
in a divorce anyhow, it's not that you put a huge photo in your living room and say, "Oh, this was the love of my life," and
yeah.
um, yeah,
And also you lose. you lose their family as well,
Yeah.
which if you're a widow, you don't. So anyway, so I started dancing. So I was by this time quite senior in my career. So I was the director of an international centre and very busy in that bit of my world. And then I became, you, I like the word you said, became open. I became open to possibilities, and I would have this theory that if the door is open, you can do three things. You can go through it, you can say, I'm going to go through it tomorrow, or you can not go through it, right? The second two means you don't do it, right? If the door is open, you go through it because the door isn't going to be there tomorrow. And so, for example, I became a sound healer because I was on this retreat thing and I heard this guy doing throat singing, and I went, that's amazing. I mean, I had never, I can't sing, I don't know how to sing, I've never been musical, and I get involved with this throat singing workshop. I came back, I was in a place with no electricity, Wi-Fi. I come back into my little flat that I've moved out of the big house into the little flat. I put in throat singing workshop. And what comes up is 4 long weekends, like 3 or 4 day weekends in Belgium. So I then went in, I said to my secretary, well, if I go to Sweden and then here, and if I go from there to Vienna, and I worked out I could fit in these 4 weekends, I said, just book my flights onto those, and that was it. And I pitched up in Belgium, and I do this first night, and I'm completely like, I'm sat there and I'm thinking, and everybody was either Belgian or Dutch, and I'm the only English person there. The teacher was South African and Spanish and French, and they kept talking about healing, and I'm like, well, I want the throat singing. You know, I've signed up for 4 weeks throat singing. I hadn't. I'd signed up for a sound healing training course. I hadn't even read the small print. I had just literally gone, I want that, I have to do that, and gone with it. So I then became a sound healer. So I didn't know how to practice. So my mum was living in sort of like sheltered accommodation. So I've got bowls. So I started doing, and of course I couldn't call it sound healing because, you know, this was, so I called it Tibetan bowl relaxation session. So I'd get all the old ladies in my mum's nursing home or
That's
sheltered
beautiful.
accommodation. They'd all get into a circle, and I would play my bowls, and I practiced all my bowls, and they would be lovely. They'd all be like this. Or my mum had a bit of dementia, and so she'd keep opening her eyes, and I say, shut your eyes, mum, and then shut your eyes, mum.
That's amazing.
So I became a sound healer by mistake, but then it opened up so many doors.
Please explain, because I think many listeners um, don't know very well what exactly is a sound healing.
Okay, so we have our physical body and we have our energy body, right? So if somebody goes and says something nasty to you, you don't feel it physically, you feel it energetically, right? So you can be hurt as much by a punch in the face or by somebody calling you and you feel it physically. So we have this energetic body around ourselves and we have this physical body, and a lot of illness is due to that we store these negative energies in our physical body. So it's a relationship between our physical body and our energy bodies. So I work with what's called natural harmonics. So something like this is a natural harmonic. It's not, it's on a natural scale. And so you work with the body, the energetic body, and everything is always trying to find balance and harmony, right? The bottom line is, if you throw a stone, it does all this, but in the end, it's trying to find balance and harmony. And when you think about our bodies, we're 70% liquid. And if you look on YouTube video, you can see, you know, somebody doing a bowl like that, and the water going like this, and you think that's what happens to your body. So I use sound. I also get people to start using their own voices, because Everything we've done in our life is in our voice. Also, this is very much linked to our throat chakra. So if you're any kind of fear, or you're like, so many people say, "Oh, I wished I could have said it." Uh, 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 we gag ourselves, right? And the other thing is, it's also linked to our ears. We don't hear. So, for example, somebody could say, "You are beautiful, you are not so beautiful, you're ugly, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're amazing." The only one they'll remember is you're ugly, right?
And especially, I think, for women, it's so
Especially
true.
for
And
women. Yeah,
maybe there's an extra layer to women who have been moms for so long. That we
yeah,
were talking
yeah,
before that we always have put ourselves last, and we hardly know what's
yeah,
important for us.
yeah,
So, um,
yeah. So I work with the chakras, which are these doorways between the energy body and the physical body. So we do chakra clearing, and I do a lot of work with the throat chakra, because this is for I and I think you're right. I think it's the major blockage for women is that, having the
and
opportunity to talk, to speak, and to be listened to.
and with regarding to this group, and we're most of us are empty nest moms, and what could be the benefit, because you are doing this online
Mm.
workshop this coming weekend, if I'm right.
That's right. We're doing it Central European time 6 in the
And
evening.
can you explain what they can expect as a benefit from your
Okay.
workshop?
Right. Well, the first benefit is we can start the conversation with ourselves. Because when you get rid of the other stuff, the monkey mind, when you get into that place of stillness, that place of balance and harmony, you can hear that little voice, which you know is there. And it's a way of finding that. So that's what we'll be doing. We will be doing a mixture of some breathing work, some meditation, and that's a way of connecting with ourselves and letting go, clearing, letting out. But what we'll also be doing is we'll be making a virtual a virtual sacred circle, because when you connect, and that's what you're doing with your group, is you're connecting and you're making this circle. And we live in a tiny world. I mean, I have a little globe here, and this is about the size of the world. We can hold it in our hands, and the technology means that we can connect around the world. And so when we connect with ourselves, we leave ourselves open to go up and connect with others, with other like-minded, and and then to come back down and to feel that connection. Because for me, this is such a crucial time, right? The world has
Yeah.
made itself stop. Mother Earth has said, "I've had enough of you lot," right? Stop. We have now got to co-create the new world.
Yeah,
And
I completely agree.
how do we do that? Is
Yeah.
we do that by stopping, listening to ourselves, just stopping out of the busyness. And that's what we've been given. The pandemic has been such a joy for so many people, such a nightmare. I'm not saying it hasn't been for some, but for a lot of people, it's been an opportunity to go, actually, what is important to me? And
Yeah.
that when you have that conversation with the little voice says, "I don't know why you've been commuting 2.5 hours every day because your job you don't like, the little voice says, actually, but we have to do this and we have to do that, and
I
and
think
we struggle to listen. So that's what I do. So we're going to do it over 4 weeks. The first week is introduction. Then I use the medicine wheel as my structure. So the second week we will work with earth and water. And the third week we will work with fire and air. And in the fourth week we will work with ether, which is that point of balance and harmony. All around the circle, above and below, there's that point in the middle. And that's where we're aiming to go after week 4.
And is it also possible to participate if you're completely new to this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Totally. I have done, I can send you the link. I've been done a preparing video where I talk about finding a space in your house to do it. I've
It's very
just,
useful that we can put that in the link in the comments.
yeah. And
The link in the comments.
if people register, they will be sent a note because this is the women's perspective in America. Most of the women involved have done no spiritual work at all. They've been to church all their life, but they've not actually been into this kind of more relationship with yourself than looking to God to come and tell you all the answers.
And is it the whole weekend? Is it a couple of hours in the weekend?
No, it's an hour and a half.
Okay. I think
So it's an hour and a half.
it can be an amazing opportunity to get in touch also with maybe something many people don't even know it exists.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think,
and
sorry, talking about
yeah,
pandemic and what it has done to many people, it's also so easy to slip back in your old habits. And
yeah, yeah,
I, if I talk for myself, I was really happy that we had to stop. And it was after a long period of running and sorrows and whatever. And it really felt from, okay, this is completely out of my control. If
yeah,
things go bad, I can't do anything. I just
yeah,
does. I didn't need to worry anymore, and I enjoyed the amount of time I had with my husband, and we were absolutely promising each other that we should keep track of the fact that how could we felt, and that if the world opened up again, that we should put time for ourselves in, and we see it slipping. So, and I think we're not the only ones, and I
mm,
think it's a beautiful and an amazing opportunity when you're also when you're still searching for what is it what I want to do.
yeah,
It's well the happiness which will open up in a couple of weeks. It's all about rediscovering yourself and also the right mindset. But I I really love the whole energy part of this,
mm,
and that's yeah. I'm a strong believer also in the follow the flow, follow the feelings. The universe has your back, and not only in words. It's just that's why I said, okay, normally this group is not about promotion, it's not about selling, but I think this is about a really inspirational opportunity from a very inspirational lady because yeah, and you've made this completely change in your life, and
yeah,
you're seem very imbalanced, and with all the grief and all the missing, which is clear that it's still there, you found your new journey, and that is what the
yeah,
happiness is also about. It's not about forgetting what has been, it's not about
no,
ignoring that it has been nice, it's about moving on and
yeah.
creating the best life for yourself,
It is. But
also in every stage of your life.
it's about conscious happiness,
Yeah,
right? And
choices.
for me, conscious happiness. I remember the first time I felt it was when my third child was born, was like 6 weeks old. I remember sitting, going, "Oh, I'm happy," and really wanting to know how to keep that. And that was before, Chris's death, and before 16 years before. But after, I've held that moment because I now know what conscious happiness feels like. But you can also, I won't say be happy, but you can also be conscious. For example, I did the Camino with my sister, and we
Oh
we did
wow.
the Portuguese Camino because my son lived in Portugal, and I was almost overwhelmed with sadness, but it was such a beautiful. It sounds strange, but a conscious sadness, right? And what I was doing, and I was letting go of layers and layers of sadness. And that beautiful walking through these woods, which were like so old, with these old trees all around, and on this path that so many other people had walked. So you are giving your sadness to the trees with joy. It was an extraordinary thing, and I can remember sitting at this medieval stone bridge, right? And I was just sitting, and I watched some other pilgrims walk by, and they were like this, doof, 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 doof. And I'm like, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for fitness? Are you doing this so that you can get 35k, 45k under your belt? I did no more than 12 to 15 a day because I did it with my sister. Sometimes we walked alone, sometimes we walked together, sometimes we cried, sometimes we laughed. We would walk, we would get up early, we would walk, and then in the afternoon we would find the place to stay, and then we'd meditate. And then we'd go and have a glass of wine with our meal, and then we'd get up early and do it again. And it was such a beautiful experience that, but a lot of that was I consciously did that Camino, if that makes sense. I mean,
For
I
me, it makes
held
sense. Okay.
on to it, and I did it for me, because when my sister Jenny asked me to do the Camino, because she'd done the French one with my other sister, and I said, well, I'm not doing 20k a day, and I'm not doing it if I'm going to get blisters on my feet. I said, I'm only going to do it if I can do it gently, in time. And it was a beautiful experience to do with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's about conscious happiness is the answer.
and that's what we all can learn in your workshop.
Yep. Just on the point, there's the practical points. There is a sliding scale of payment, but if women haven't got the money, then you follow the link and you get a kindness code. I called it a happiness code in my video, but it's a kindness code. And if you do it for free, you have to do one conscious act of kindness for each workshop. And because that's my usual payment, is one conscious act of kindness, because we don't do enough. It's about consciously, like,
Um,
consciously act of kindness is you have to think it through, and you're not doing it for yourself. You don't, you just consciously do something nice.
this is because on Wednesdays it's also the day of kindness in the group, and there is this Facebook group, and it's called From the Heart. And this Wednesday, I really want to give it a lot of attention. It's a group where you can post someone who needs some attention, and just send a postcard or a nice card. And
Mm-hmm.
it's such a joyful kindness group. And I wrote I put a post for my sister, and it made her so happy to receive all those cards. But it's also so much fun to write the cards
Yeah,
and just put your name on it, not even your address, because you
yeah,
don't need any thank you note
yeah,
afterwards. It's just
yeah.
fun knowing that someone opens up that card and says, wow, someone in Italy was thinking of me. And yeah, it's
Beautiful.
I love it that you ask a conscious act of kindness in return, and
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And I could keep on talking with you because I really think we hit off, and that you have so many beautiful stories and inspirational stories to tell. But let's just say we come
Okay.
back another day,
Yeah.
and not make it too long today. We will
Okay.
put the
And if
link.
people want to connect with me, the best thing is via Facebook, because that's got my website and other things, links.
Yeah, but if you send me the link for your video, because
Okay.
I already have the link to sign up for the workshop, but it's nice if they can see the
Okay.
video
Yeah,
as
I'll
well.
send you the video link because it's
Yeah, and
okay.
then I hope that even if just one person is signing up, it's the ripple effect, and it goes further and further. And that's what the meaning of those inspirational talks is, because someone can relate to you, someone can relate to
Yeah.
someone else,
Yeah.
and
And as I say, there's 7 billion roads to truth, and
exactly.
you have to find your own route. And the signs are there, the messages are there all the time.
yeah.
And what suits one person does not suit another person. You know, you have to go with your heart. And that's why the conversation with your heart is so important. That ability to like, oh, that that feels good. That makes me happy. That is what I'm going to
Yeah.
do.
And that's why I think your workshop is so important because it's
Oh, thank you.
it's yeah, really, because it's for, like we said before, so many women really don't hear themselves. They have
They
no
don't.
idea what they
Yeah.
want. They
No, they
what
and they have spent a lifetime putting the needs of their husband, their parents, their children, the dog. They've put everybody's needs in front of theirs, and that's why I like your website because when you get to that point, for me it happened suddenly. I had a 16-year-old son at home, but basically my nest just fell out the tree, right? It happens differently for every woman, but you get to that point and suddenly who are you looking after? What does she want? What do I want? And you don't know the answer.
how do you say yes to yourself?
Yeah,
What does it even
yeah,
mean? Are you worth it?
yeah,
Are you
and
allowed to? Yeah.
yeah, and it's also taste it and see if it doesn't work. Move on, do something else. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
dancing worked with me, but other things work with other people. It could be yoga, could be this, could be that. You know, but
and I
it's
think
following your heart.
that's the essence of the happiness as well. It's try it
Yeah,
out. Probably the first 10 things you think that's it, and then it's not. And I
yeah,
can tell my story, and it really went like that. I tried many different things. It gave me a lot of joy, gave me a lot of sorrow, tears, but in the end, you will arrive. And as long as you can enjoy the journey, and
yeah,
the journey is try the weekend. If it's nice, just do the other weekend as well.
yeah.
And I hope many women listeners will jump in to this
Uh,
occasion because I
Thank
think
you. I hope so too. And it won't be, I mean, this is a trial one with women perspective because I've never done as a virtual workshop. But if it works, and it's already worked in the sense that we're having this conversation, you know, which I will do other things. And there's this amazing woman in California called Amy who hosts these, and she's brilliant.
we'll talk
So
about it next time, and maybe we can organize something in the happiness as well that you're
yeah,
a guest.
yeah, maybe we should try one on your website. We could do I do I did do when the pandemic came here, I did every day for 63 days. I did a Facebook meditation. And
Wow.
that was so good for me. It gave me focus in my life. I was very lucky that I had a friend staying with me the whole time because I was here on my own in Croatia otherwise and that first lockdown was quite scary. Nobody knew what was going to happen, and that's how I know we can connect because when I did those 63 meditations, you tune in. You tune in to the others who are doing it with you, and I didn't know we could do that virtually, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Well, I would say let's keep in contact. Let's
Hmm.
see what we can do in the group. And even if it's not 63 days, but 30
I'm
days,
not going to do another 63 days meditations.
maybe also 7 days, just to get a taste how it's
Yeah,
going to be.
yeah. I mean, we should talk. Maybe we'll
Let's
continue
see if it's
talking
coming.
offline and talk about
Yeah.
doing a weekly meditation, something
Oh,
like that.
that should be wonderful. Let's see if the listeners will love it as
Yeah,
well. Have
yeah,
a
because
comment.
that could easily done that we did that on Zoom.
Oh, I would. I love the idea. Let's talk about it off the record.
Okay, okay.
Allegra, thank you so much. For me, this has
My
been
pleasure.
wonderful.
My
And,
pleasure.
I probably try to sign up as well because I just want to
Excellent.
see how it works. But then I have to see the time difference and everything. But
No, it's at 6 o'clock our time, so it's 6 o'clock Central European time,
okay,
5 in the UK, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time,
oh,
and
that's
9 o'clock in the morning in California,
so that's okay.
and 10:30 at night in India.
Australia at 9 in the morning.
Australia is yeah. I didn't when I sent the invite. I didn't send it to my Australian
Oh,
friends.
no, it works for Australia. No, that's the other way around. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyhow, they will figure it out. You can always record it eventually. Okay, thank you so much, and
My pleasure.
sure you will be back.